One of the keys to successful leadership is the ability to generate a vision that is embraced company-wide. The ability to be persuasive is a key element to generating this vision and turning it into a magnificent obsession for the masses. Abraham Lincoln masterfully executed these skills as he led our nation through its most challenging crisis, the Civil War. How did he do this? And what principles may we extract from his miraculous accomplishment of preserving the Union? I'm Eli's dad, welcoming you back to Project Eli, where we educate, lead, and inspire. What general principles of leadership may we obtain by examining the process and actions of our 16th President, Abraham Lincoln? As always, you are invited to listen in as I tutor my son, Eli. Eli, in our discussions on leadership, I have made one significant point to make your mindset as easy as possible. It is that to be an effective leader, you must utilize the same principles and actions that one would employ in the individual success formula and apply them to a group of individuals simultaneously. You will recall that the individual success formula, a universal law, works just as the law of gravity works. That is, it works without prejudice and it works consistently. It also works whether one is applying its principles consciously or not. In other words, an apple will always fall down and not up, whether one understands the law of gravity or not, and it will do so consistently. As the leader, it's not important that your team understands all the intricacies of the laws that govern individual success. What is important is that you, as the leader, get the team to perform the actions and possess the mindset that is necessary. Just as I, your mechanically challenged dad, doesn't need to understand all of the technical aspects of how a car engine's motor operates to drive a car, I must still take the action of turning the key, shifting the gears, and putting my foot on the gas pedal to generate forward movement. That is what you, as the leader, must generate in your team, the actions that are necessary to move your vehicle forward. It is most helpful, therefore, if you, Eli, understand the success formula so that you may transpose its tenets to your team. I have included it in the description box below for your convenience, but here it is once again. And the formula is always the same. Number one, you must have a dream and become obsessed with it. Your dream must have no limitations. The first law of the universe is order. Anything that has ever been invented started with a dream. The components of progress have always been there. A computer could have been built in the year one if the knowledge necessary to build it had been put in its proper order. Number two, you must have a vision of your dream and spend time every day seeing yourself already accomplishing that dream as if you've already accomplished it. Number three, your vision must be positive. For example, you must want to be wealthy instead of wanting to get out of debt. Number four, you must make a rough draft game plan to begin. You don't need to know every detail that will bring you to the culmination of your dream. The key is to get off the starting line. Just as you get into your car and stop at red lights, you must anticipate that your journey will not be green lights all the way to your destination. There will be stoplights, potholes, and detours. Number five, you must learn to make failure your teacher and not your undertaker. Failure is feedback. Adjust your plan as necessary. You must be so focused on your long-term goal that short-term disappointments do not derail you. Number six, You must understand that there is a gestation period for achievement. Eli, a pregnancy takes 9 months, so don't ask to see the baby after 5 months. The challenge is that you don't know how long it will take to achieve your goal. So you must be patiently impatient until the gestation period is complete. Number 7, your mindset must understand that there is no such thing as a problem. There are only unsolved opportunities. Your mindset must include keeping a positive attitude and an understanding that from every negative, there also emerges a positive seed. Number 8, you must seek to minimize your learning curve by pursuing the specialized knowledge you need through mentors if possible, and by trial and error when necessary. Number 9, you must have faith that a continued laser focus on your objective will generate ideas from unknown sources to help you accomplish your goal. When you have a laser focus, you will find that the universe will help you to put things in their proper order. And number 10, you must have discipline with good habits. Successful people know that you first form habits and then habits form you. This is the formula to be executed by your team. They don't need to understand how the engine works, but it will expedite results for you, Eli, as the mechanic, to understand each piece and how it relates to the whole vehicle. The first step is to have a company-wide vision that is embraced by everyone. By the way, Eli, you'll find the process for developing a vision for your team in detail in our primer on leadership. If you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend watching and reviewing it. So, step 1 is creating a vision. Step 2 is visualizing its completion every day. Here's where your leadership/persuasion skills come into play. If you want the masses to buy into the vision, you must sell it to the team every day. How? With as many means to create visualization as possible, with symbols, with charts that show progress, with competitions for step-by-step achievements, with promotions, with rhetoric from the leaders, and most importantly, with visits to the sites of activity to offer inspiration, feedback, compliments, and an ear to listen to the troops. The troops, the folks on the front lines, see the day-to-day issues that either accelerate progress or slow and stifle progress. When the leaders interact with them in their own venue and listen to their issues and suggestion, it creates entrepreneurial type thinking for goal achievement. It is a bonding element when the vision becomes an obsession and each successful forward step becomes the tonic that generates the serum known as momentum. It is essential that the leader champion the cause in as many ways as possible and that the masses observe that dedication, the leader's dedication, to the objective. The leader must walk the walk to put others in productive motion. And the masses must see that the goal is the paramount deciding factor in determining policy and activity. To rally around a cause that binds moves the needle forward consistently and provides the impetus to create momentum that allows the team to charge through potholes like a locomotive blasting through a gate at 200 miles per hour. This was the way Lincoln rallied the Union. He would travel wherever he could to deliver his message and inspire the troops, the people, and the politicians. He was a cheerleader extraordinaire. It was difficult to not recognize him when his very tall, willowy frame, clad in all black clothes, wearing a top hat, came riding towards you. And what did he do? He continually sold the dream to preserve the Union in whatever way he could. This is where the art of leadership comes into play. He was a persuader, a salesman. He never stopped closing. He would use his ability as a storyteller to make his points. He was a master storyteller, and his ability to tell stories to persuade was paramount to rally his constituents together. He was able to get the people to want to buy and not feel like they had been sold. He knew that facts tell and stories sell. He used any and all means at his disposal to share the vision and sell the dream. Lincoln's two main objectives were to preserve the Union and establish that all men are created equal. He realized, however, that the accomplishment of these objectives was a twofold process. Preserving the Union was step one. For this reason, his rhetoric varied depending upon the location. When he was in the border states, where slavery was still a fact of life, he spoke of national unity. When he was speaking in abolitionist territories, his rhetoric would contain more about equality. He would speak to each group of people in their own language, about their own passions, with stories and parables, always seeking to unify the effort of motivating support for the troops. Here's an example. The Emancipation Proclamation did not free the slaves in Union states where slavery still existed. It declared that the slaves in the Confederate states were free. Lincoln's aim was to increase the number of soldiers fighting for the North with this action. It in fact increased the number of Union troops substantially. If Lincoln had freed the slaves in the Union as well, that would have antagonized those residing in the border states. Decisive, bold actions are necessary to advance a cause. Before these actions are executed, however, it is necessary to envision both positive and negative results. When you stop and think about it, Eli, the Emancipation Proclamation had zero effect on the states that were under the control of the president. They were aimed entirely at an area, the Confederate states, where Lincoln had no control. To this day, most Americans believe that Lincoln freed the slaves with the Emancipation Proclamation. It was in reality a sales job to further his cause by increasing the number of soldiers. Now, when you review the 10-step success formula, Eli, it is clear that Lincoln was able to transpose the principles of individual achievement into a team concept. That is what leadership is, making a team unified in a particular objective by sharing the vision, selling the dream, and coordinating the activity. Now, I want to be clear about one thing. There are very few of us that have the storytelling skills of Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln utilized his strength to artfully achieve the job of sharing the vision and selling the dream. He, of course, used many other tactics as well. Now, every leader must take personal inventory and identify their most effective individual communication skill. Then, they must use it to rally the troops. President Kennedy used his charisma. President Roosevelt used his warmth through his fireside chats with the American people on radio. Effective leaders all have at least one special skill to communicate. That is a prerequisite that makes them effective leaders. This ability to communicate is the what, the science of leadership. The how is the art of leadership. Now, this is as close to a blueprint about unifying the troops through a vision that I may offer you, my son. It is up to you to make a realistic assessment of your skills and decide which one of them will be the main weapon you employ to focus your team. Remember, all methods require leading by example. Now, on our next journey relating to Lincoln's leadership tactics, we will discuss how numbers 5 through 10 in our success formula are utilized for team success and how Mr. Lincoln used them to win a war. They are utilizing failure as your teacher and not your undertaker, recognizing that success requires an unknown gestation period and the importance of remaining patiently impatient, maintaining the proper mindset, accelerating the learning curve by learning from and modeling experts, maintaining faith in achieving the objective, and establishing the proper habits to achieve your goal. Please tell the story of Project Eli to others so that they may subscribe and ring the bell notification. Click the like icon and make a comment in the comment section below, just like you have done. Remember, leaders lead by example, and you are a leader, aren't you? Our thought for the day is from A Passion from Excellence, a book by Tom Peters and Nancy Austin. I quote, "All leadership is show business. It turns out that human beings reason largely by means of stories, not by mounds of data. Stories are memorable. They teach. If we are serious about ideas, values, motivation, and commitment, we will pay attention to the roles of stories and myths." Unquote. And because we never end our meeting on a philosophical note, create your own story by getting out there and charge! I'm Eli's dad.